Good morning, everyone. Am I audible and visible to all? Good morning, Upasna. Please let me know if you can hear me properly. All right. So let's begin with the next dose of GK revision. Again, we are dealing with down-to-earth articles. So this deals with the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. So there was recently a conference of parties that took place in Panama, COP19. Says hello ma'am, hello. अच्छा मुझे लगा no ma'am लिखा है, ठीक है, hello, good morning. All right, so COP19 took place, which is why this particular organization becomes important. And let's see what India has to say in this. So, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. This was conceptualized in 1963 at a meeting of International Union for Conservation of Nature. IUCN is something that you're very, very familiar with. It came into force then in 1975, and it has 183 member countries as of today. If we talk about India, India became a member in 1976. So you can possibly relate this to the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976, wherein we came up with Article 48A that says protection of wildlife and the forest, right? So 1963 में conceptualize हुआ, 1975 में it came into force. एक साल के बाद India became a member. How many member countries are there? 183 member countries. नाम से पता चल रहा है, what are they talking about? They are talking about international trade in endangered species. So what they do is, much like IUCN, that is also categorizing a lot of species into different headings like critically endangered, extinct, so on and so forth. This particular convention, this is located, the secretariat is located in Geneva, Switzerland. What it does is it classifies these plants and animals into three categories. Category 1 being Appendix 1, wherein they put in these categories of flora and fauna that are in danger of extinction. Category 2 is you need to monitor these particular species because the amount of trade that you're doing, eventually this will become a threat. And Appendix 3 is certain species which are protected in at least one country, one of the member countries. Okay, apart from that, this is administered by the United Nations under the UNEP wing. So United Nations Environment Program 1972, Inger Anderson, we've done all of that, Nairobi and all, right? So this is what is administering this convention. Now, COP3 for this particular convention, it took place in India in 1981 in New Delhi. Now, in COP19, we'll just get down to it. I mean, you can see it, COP19, we've written it over here, which happened in Panama City. What was India's objective here? So we submitted 3 proposals for stricter protection of our native species. One is the Jaipur Indian gecko, the red-crowned roofed turtle, and the Leeds soft shell turtle. Okay, so we need to know these 3 species that we have said, you start protecting it even further. This is our proposal. So the Jaipur Indian gecko, the red-crowned roofed turtle, and the Leeds soft shell turtle. क्या करूं बता दो प्लीज. अच्छा, इंग्लिश का ऐसा है बच्चे, बड़ी सिंपल सी बात है, जैसे हमने हिंदी सीखी वैसे ही हम अंग्रेजी सीखेंगे. इसको तोड़ मरोड़ के, इसका पोस्टमार्टम करके हम लोगों ने अंग्रेजी नहीं सीखनी. हमने हिंदी कैसे सीखी? बोल के, कभी कभार गलत बोल के, कभी कभार सही बोल के. अंग्रेजी भी हम ऐसे ही सीखेंगे. अंग्रेजी बोलो तो ही आएगी और अपने आप ही पता चलने लग जाएगा कि क्या गलतियां हो रही है. बाकी यू रीड इंग्लिश बुक्स, right, English newspapers, and you just keep using the English language. लोग हंसेंगे, गलत बोलोगे, hardly matters, तुम learn कर रहे हो. तो जैसे हिंदी सीखी वैसे ही इंग्लिश सीखी. हिंदी को हम लोगों ने कोई किसी दिन प्रोनाउंसिएशन, किसी दिन ग्रामर वगैरह कर करके नहीं किया ना, बस पढ़ के आएगी, पढ़ के आ जाएगी. वो इतनी कोई तोप वाली बात नहीं है अंग्रेजी, ठीक है. सो नाउ COP19 की बात करें. सो कन्वेंशन ऑन इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड इन एंडेंजर्ड स्पीशी, दिस आई सेड द 19th conference of parties, it took place in Panama City. Now, red-crowned roof turtle and Leeds soft shell turtle are threatened due to their habitat loss. हम लोगों ने बोला ना ये वाली हमारी native है. ठीक है, सो इसको हम लोगों ने एंडेंजर्ड मान के हमने कहा कि वी आर गोइंग टू कंजर्व इट इवन फर्दर. Now, red-crowned roof turtle is native to India, Nepal, and Bangladesh, and it is widely found in Ganga and Brahmaputra river basin. Right? दूसरा अगर हम बात करें, at present in National Chambal River Gharial Sanctuary is the only geographical area where this species is found in substantive numbers. अब species की बात हुई है, so you need to know about it, right? Then is Leith soft-shell turtle inhabits rivers and reservoirs, mainly in the southern peninsular India, like in Odisha, in Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu. And its presence is substantial in Kaveri, Tungabhadra, Gataprabha, Bhavani, and Godavari and Moyar drainages. So सिर्फ इतना जानो कि कहाँ पे substantial population है, and just have a basic idea. I know that you know the Indian map. Just try to memorize it this way कि अच्छा ये वाले areas में ये वाला turtle मिलता है, गंगा एंड ब्रह्मपुत्र वाले areas में red crowned roofed turtle मिलता है, और southern peninsular India में आपको मिल जाता है आपका Leith soft shell turtle. Okay, बाकी इसके अलावा this is being put, another thing that is being put in appendix 2. So appendix 2 was something where we said you need monitoring so that the trade does not become a threat. So another thing that we have included is called sea cucumbers, right? So sea cucumbers is something also that you have to keep in mind. So an analysis published by the Wildlife Conservation Society India. Wildlife Conservation Society India is a Section 25 money non-profit company that is there. ठीक है? And Dr. Vidya Athreya is the director and head of the science and conservation at the WCS, the Wildlife Conservation Society. Since we saw in our sample paper, Sunita Narayan ka to chalo naam puchenge hi because she's also associated with Down to Earth, right? But many other people, they've asked you names of people who are associated with these environment-related organizations. So you might as well keep this in mind. अब ये सी क्यूकम्बर सबसे ज्यादा कहाँ पे मिलते हैं इंडिया में? तो तमिलनाडु में मिलते हैं, उसके बाद महाराष्ट्र, लक्षद्वीप एंड कर्नाटका. Okay, so we've spoken about what all? We've spoken about the Jaipur Indian gecko, the red-crowned roof turtle, the Leith's soft-shell turtle, and then we've also spoken about sea cucumbers, marine species, and they are the most frequently trafficked marine species, and they are basically found in Tamil Nadu. Okay, now the next one is your electric vehicles. And electric vehicles, of course, is also very important. We've also read about the fact that Reliance Industries, Rajesh Exports, and the government of India, they have made this particular agreement wherein they said that production linked incentive schemes हम आपको देंगे जिसके अंदर आप ये बैटरी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करेंगे. So two things, एक तो ये हो गया, दूसरा थोड़ी देर के बाद we will talk about the battery management waste rules that have been made in 2022 and what are the new things in these particular rules. Over here, we are just talking about these two organizations. One is Center for Science and Environment. Head is again Sunita Narayan, right? They have collaborated with the Department of Science and Technology, and they are talking about the development of new electric vehicle batteries to suit Indian requirements. Okay, और कुछ नहीं, बस इतना ही कि हम लोग साथ में मिलके we will see कि कौन से टाइप के हमें बैटरीज बनाने चाहिए. Apart from that, 2013 की बात करें तो FAME India 1, you should just know the full form, right? Faster adoption and manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles. FAME 2 भी हमने स्टार्ट किया था 2019 के लिए for the next 3 years, right? Ministry of Heavy Industries के अंदर ये चीज आ जाएगी, ठीक है? Although they also collaborate with Union Ministry of Roads and Transport and all of that, but this is also to do with EV, electric vehicles. So which two organizations have come together? एक तो हमारा central government और दूसरा non-profit organization Center for Science and Environment, and who's heading it? Sunita Narayan. Then is your next stop net zero. Indian Railways plan to become a net zero emitter by 2030. That is all that you have to keep in mind. Apart from that, अगर हम लोग largest railway network के बारे में बात करें, तो सबसे ज़्यादा America, then China, then Russia, then India. Indian Railways are world's 4th largest railway network, and we are aiming to become a net zero carbon emitter in the next 7 years by 2030, which is also the deadline for Sustainable Development Goals. This is also the deadline for the post 2020 framework जो कल किया था on the convention on biological diversity. बहुत easy था वो. 30% हमने land को conserve करना था, 30% हम लोगों ने water को conserve करना था, oceans वगैरह को हम लोगों ने protect करना था. Now in this particular case, of course, we are saying that we are going to use renewable sources of energy. Ashwini Vaishnav is the cabinet minister for Railway Ministry. Now, if successful, then we will be able to meet our nationally determined contribution of reducing our carbon emissions by at least 33% by 2030, which will be great for us. Then starting 2014, we've already picked up the phase to stop the diesel coaches and to start electrification of the broad gauges of our railway tracks. So 2023 तक हमने कहा कि पूरा का पूरा electrification हम लोग करने की कोशिश करेंगे and by 2030 हमारा net zero emission हो जाएगा railway sector का. Then is your natural gas. बहुत ज़्यादा हम लोगों ने, we've spoken about COP27 like a lot, right? There is another thing that we need to keep in mind, and that is to do with natural gas. Now you have to understand that, not only LNG, liquefied natural gas, not only is it a non-renewable source of energy, but there are also methane emissions that happen from LNG, and they have disastrous consequences on our environment. So a clean future will be possible only when we stop utilizing all of these sources of energy, right? So that is what this particular topic was all about, wherein two types of reports were put forth. One was in COP27 itself, and the title of the report was Massive Gas Expansion Risk Overtaking Positive Climate पॉलिसीज. सो बड़ी सिंपल सी बात है, ये सिर्फ जान लो कि ये रिलीज कहाँ पे हुई, तो COP27 में हुई. दूसरा अगर हम बात करें तो ये एक IEA, विल जस्ट टॉक अबाउट इट, इंटरनेशनल एनर्जी एजेंसी, इन्होंने भी एक अपनी एक रिपोर्ट बनाई जिसमें इन्होंने कहा नेट जीरो बाय 2050, अ रोड मैप फॉर ग्लोबल एनर्जी सेक्टर. सो बोथ ऑफ देम आर टॉकिंग अबाउट हाउ द ग्लोबल गैस emissions should be reduced, and we've been doing it for a very, very long time now. We know COP27, we know loss and damage. We also know about the fact that agriculture also contributes a lot to methane, right? And India sort of did not talk about it. कल हम लोगों ने बात की कैसे agriculture का pavilion अलग से हम लोगों ने बनाया था, जो UNFAO और Rockefeller Foundation के अंदर था. अब हमें एक और चीज पता चल गई कि COP27 में हमने एक रिपोर्ट करी थी जहां पे हमने कहा था that cumulative emission from LNG is estimated to be over 40 gigatons of CO2 higher between 2020 to 2050. तो हमें इसको drastically reduce करना पड़ेगा. The name of that particular report was Massive Gas Expansion Risk is Overtaking What Positive Climate Policies. फिर International Energy Agency का एक और है Net Zero by 2050, Net Zero Emissions, right? Now, what is this International Energy Agency? It is a part of OECD. Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. You have to keep this in mind. Why? Because इसका headquarter कहाँ पे है? Paris, France. और इसी के headquarter में एक और organization तो नहीं बोलेंगे, task force है, which is housing, which is called the Financial Action Task Force. So Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, as the name suggests, is an organization of a lot of developed countries that are coming together, and they're talking about how they should do more economic cooperation and development. इन्हीं के headquarter में, which is based in Paris, France, there is another, they've sort of made an office for them, and that is what is called the Financial Action Task Force, जो 1989 में बना, जिसकी ग्रे लिस्ट से पाकिस्तान निकला. अभी 23 कंट्रीज हैं और 3 कंट्रीज ब्लैक लिस्ट में है. अब इन्हीं के फ्रेमवर्क के अंदर एक और चीज हमने बनाई कॉल्ड इंटरनेशनल एनर्जी एजेंसी. नाउ व्हाट इज द बेसिक मिशन ऑफ दिस? अफोर्डेबल एंड क्लीन एनर्जी. वेरी वेरी सिंपल, राइट? इट इज मेड अप ऑफ 31 member countries and 8 association countries. India is an association member. India was asked to come and become a full-time member back in 2021, but as of today we are not a member of this, right? We have our own energy वाले organization. हमारा coalition of disaster resilient infrastructure एक हो गया, दूसरा हमारा इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस वगैरह हो गया. बट राइट नाउ वी आर एन एसोसिएशन मेंबर, व्हिच बेसिकली मीन्स दैट वी विल कम एंड वी विल ऑब्जर्व वट एवर यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, वील ट्राई टू इम्बाइब इट. द एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर इज डॉक्टर फतेह बिरोल. ठीक है, सो ये नाम आप लर्न कर लेना. ये हमने क्यों किया, क्योंकि इन्होंने भी नेट जीरो एमिशंस के बारे में बात की, जिस दैट इनकी रिपोर्ट इज नेट जीरो बाय 2050. Fine. Then is net zero by 2070. India still has 99 coal projects in the pipeline. ठीक है, अब 99 coal projects in the pipeline. This particular article has been taken from Down to Earth, जिसके अंदर इन्होंने क्या बोला है, इन्होंने कहा कि अच्छा इंडिया तो बहुत बोल रहा है कि हम लोग बताओ अपनी एमिशंस को बिल्कुल ही खत्म कर देंगे, है ना, लेकिन ऐसा है कि इंडिया इज स्टिल डेवलपिंग कोल माइंस. नाउ इफ यू आर डेवलपिंग कोल माइंस ऑन वन एंड and then you're trying to have net zero emissions on the other end, how are you going to bridge that gap? And so hence in this entire thing, the only thing that we need to know is that how much of coal production, मतलब कौन सी active coal production sites हैं और largest कहाँ पे है और कम कहाँ पे है. So largest coal production sites are there in Odisha, lowest is in Rajasthan. In fact, Jharkhand and Odisha alone account for 40% of the unused mine capacity with availability of 100 million tons. ठीक है, जहां पे एक तो हो गए already going on projects, एक हो गए upcoming projects. So there are also upcoming projects in like Odisha and Jharkhand and many other states. So all we have to keep in mind is actively right now the most amount of coal production is happening in Odisha, the least is happening in Rajasthan, and it doesn't happen in every state, right? Because not every state has that kind of renewable source नहीं, natural source, right? And Jharkhand and Odisha की अगर हम बात करें, they alone account for 40% of the unused mine capacity, जहां पे upcoming projects की तुम बात कर रहे हो. So अगर इतने upcoming आपके projects हैं which are to do with coal, then how are you going to keep in line with your promise of net zero emissions, is what this article was all about. Then is your new battery waste management rules. तो अभी तक हमने क्या क्या कर लिया है, हमने COP19 के बारे में बात की, जहां पे हमने कन्वेंशन ऑफ एंडेंजर्ड स्पीशीज की बात की, कन्वेंशन ऑन इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड ऑफ एंडेंजर्ड स्पीशीज. कहाँ पे हुआ, पनामा सिटी में हुआ. Or when was this, when did it come into force? When was this particular convention made? So this was made back in, it came into force in 1975, and in 1976, India became a member of it. Then Indian, what did we talk about? Let's revise this. We spoke about our native species, wherein we said you have to have stricter protection for that trade. Jaipur Indian geckos, red-crowned roof turtles, and leaf soft shell turtles. जिसमें अगर हम बात करें, red-crowned roof turtle is mostly in the Ganga and Brahmaputra basin, and leaf soft shell turtle is basically in the peninsular India, right? Apart from that, appendix 2 में जहाँ पे हमने बोला कि प्लीज और ज्यादा इसके बारे में बात करो, मतलब थोड़ा सा इसका ट्रेड रोक लो, because it is going to become endangered in the future. That is a sea cucumber, which is basically found in Tamil Nadu. And who has made this analysis? The Wildlife Conservation Society India, not for profit enterprise hai. Vidya Athreya is the Director General. Then we spoke about Center for Science and Environment, head is Sunita Narayan, and central government. They came together and they joined hands to make the policies and to develop electric vehicle batteries, which are suited for India. Apart from that, we also spoke about that Reliance Industries and Rajesh Exports and all of that, जिन्होंने साथ में मिलके प्रोडक्शन लिंक्ड इंसेंटिव स्कीम में इलेक्ट्रॉनिक व्हीकल्स की बैटरीज बनाई थी. ये हमने किया हुआ है. फिर फेम करके जो स्कीम है उसका आपको फुल फॉर्म पता हो जाना चाहिए, फास्टर अडॉप्शन एंड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑफ हाइब्रिड एंड इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स इन इंडिया. 2013 में फेम 1 आ गया और 2019 में फेम 2 करके हमने ले आए. Then is Indian Railways, they plan to become like a net zero emitter by 2030. Then we've spoken about natural gas and how LNG the production should be reduced and we should look into renewable sources of energy. 2 टाइप की रिपोर्ट्स आ गई यहाँ पे. COP27 में जो रिपोर्ट थी वो तो आप ऑप्शंस में से देख के बता दोगे. मैसिव गैस एक्सपेंशन रिस्क, ओवरटेकिंग पॉजिटिव क्लाइमेट policies. And the second one is your roadmap for global energy, right? IEA क्या है? International Energy Agency, autonomous intergovernmental organization है जिसके 31 member countries हैं और कुछ association countries हैं जिसमें से एक इंडिया है. Where is it found? It is found in the headquarter of Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, which is in Paris, France. And what is their job? Their job is just to come out with certain policies with respect to affordable and clean energy. And who is the executive director? This is Dr. Fateh Birol. देन इतने सारे कोल वाले प्रोजेक्ट्स अगर आपके पाइपलाइन में हैं, कितने हैं? 99 है. और फिर तुम बोल रहे हो तुम नेट जीरो कर रहे हो एमिशन. सो दैट इज व्हाट दिस आर्टिकल वाज अबाउट, जिसमें मुझे सिर्फ इतना पता होना है कि एक्टिव जो कोल माइंस वगैरह हैं, प्रोडक्शन जो हो रही है सबसे ज्यादा कहाँ पे हो रही है? ओडिशा में. द लीस्ट इज हैपनिंग इन Rajasthan. And if you look at the active coal production and the upcoming projects, then Jharkhand and Odisha together account for 40% of those projects. Then comes your new battery waste management rules of 2022. Very, very simple. If I say this like in a simple line, एक तो यहाँ पे circular economy की बात हो रही है. That basically means that, you know, you make certain things that can be used, reused, recycled, refurbished, again used. And secondly, they are talking about the fact that अगर आप प्रोडक्शन कर रहे हो किसी भी बैटरी की, तो या फिर उसके डिस्पोजल का पूरा खर्चा आप उठाओगे, या फिर आप रिन्यूएबल सोर्सेज ऑफ एनर्जी को यूज करके, मतलब ऐसे टाइप की चीजों को यूज करोगे जो सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी में यूज किए जा सके, जिसके कारण हम आपको वो सर्टिफिकेट्स दे देंगे. You know, these particular certificates will be that you have fulfilled your responsibility, which are tradable also in nature. So let's talk about it. Electric vehicles will be key to decarbonizing transport. And we do understand that we have come up with the National Logistics Policy in India, wherein we have said that around 13 to 14% of our kharcha of GDP, it happens in logistics. And so we need to make sure that our logistics are better. Then we have also spoken about E-Fast, which is your sustainable transport. जितनी पॉपुलेशन बढ़ेगी उतनी गाड़ियां और आएंगी, उतना ज्यादा कार्बन एमिशन और हो जाएगा, उतना क्लाइमेट चेंज और हो जाएगा. तो इसके लिए क्या करें? या फिर लोगों को बोलें घर पे बैठ जाओ, बाहर निकलना ही नहीं है, ये कर नहीं सकते. सो द सेकेंड थिंग इज यू मेक श्योर दैट यू हैव सस्टेनेबल ट्रांसपोर्ट, राइट? सस्टेनेबल ट्रांसपोर्ट का सबसे बड़ा तरीका क्या है? इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स. सो वी हैव मेड दीज बैटरी वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट रूल्स ऑफ 2022. हु हैज कम अप विद दिस? वेरी वेरी सिंपल, यूनियन मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bhupendra Yadav. And they have spoken about, I told you, you have to trigger something called the circular economy, and we know what is circular economy. And the second thing is, now the onus is upon the producer and the importer of batteries, right? You have certain responsibilities, you fulfill those responsibilities. You will get these certificates also. अगर तुम ये रिफर्बिश, रिसाइकल, सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी के अकॉर्डिंगली ये काम कर रहे हो, नहीं तो पेनल्टी लगेगी. अब ये कौन देगा? ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी सर्टिफिकेट्स, ईपीआर या एक्सटेंडेड प्रोड्यूसर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी सर्टिफिकेट्स कौन प्रोवाइड कर रहा है? सेंट्रल पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड, द सेम अथॉरिटी विच इज ऑल्सो टेकिंग केयर ऑफ द which is also the monitoring agency of your single use plastic ban, right? अब इसमें और क्या हम लोगों ने देखना है कि इससे पहले जो रूल्स थे वो 2001 के रूल्स थे. अभी क्या रूल्स का नाम हो गया? बैटरी वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट रूल्स ऑफ 2022. पहले के क्या थे? बैटरी मैनेजमेंट एंड हैंडलिंग रूल्स ऑफ 2001. So it builds upon and it replaces the 2001. 20 साल के बाद, नहीं 21 साल के बाद हम लोगों ने ये न्यू वाले रूल्स बना दिए हैं, ठीक है? ओके. एंड द बेस्ट पार्ट अबाउट इट इज आउटकम बेस्ड. इट हैज न्यूमेरिकल टारगेट्स, ताकि कोई वेगनेस ना हो सके. जो कल कन्वेंशन ऑन बायोलॉजिकल डाइवर्सिटी में हमने बोला था आईची टारगेट्स 2010 वाले, वो वेग थे, इसीलिए फेल हो गए हम लोग. यहाँ पे वेगनेस नहीं है. हम लोगों ने बकायदा बताया कि कब तक आपने क्या क्या काम करना है. तो दो टाइप के इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स की बात हो रही है, एक इलेक्ट्रिक 2 व्हीलर्स, एक इलेक्ट्रिक 3 व्हीलर्स. जो इलेक्ट्रिक 2 व्हीलर्स हैं उनको हम लोगों ने कंप्लायंस टाइम, सिर्फ कंप्लायंस टाइम लर्न करो, कंप्लायंस करने के लिए जो भी हमने रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस बोले हैं कि भाई एटलीस्ट 70% ऑफ दिस इट हैज टू बी सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी वाले टाइप की बैटरीज. सो दिस यू हैव टू डू टिल 2026 to 27. एंड क्योंकि 3-wheeler इलेक्ट्रिक 3-wheeler पहले आ गए थे तो इनका कंप्लायंस टाइम थोड़ा पहले हो गया. इनको कब तक कंप्लायंस करना है? 2024 to 25, right? Their compliance cycle starts in 2024 to 25. एंड इलेक्ट्रिक 4-wheelers की बात करें तो इनका लॉन्गर कंप्लायंस टाइम होगा बिकॉज ये इंट्रोड्यूस ही बाद में हुए हैं. सो लाइक दैट. ओके, सो द कंप्लायंस टाइम वर्क विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम 2026 to 27 for 2-wheelers. It will start from 2024 to 25 for 3-wheelers. एंड 4-wheelers का तो हमने सीधा लिखा 14 years तक का आपका कंप्लायंस साइकिल होगा. 2 टाइप से प्रोड्यूसर्स विल बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल. अगर तो आप नहीं लेकर आ सकते ऐसे टाइप की रीयूजेबल, रिफर्शेबल, a battery that can be reused. If you cannot bring about that, then you will be the one who will be taking up the kharcha and managing the battery waste. And secondly, if you're doing that, then that is a very good thing for you and for us too. And also you can exchange or trade this for fulfilling your EPR targets. कि कल जाके मेरे को इतना मेरा EPR target था, मैंने इतना ज्यादा fulfill कर दिया, राइट? वही एनर्जी कंजर्वेशन वाले बिल वाली बात जो हमने उस दिन की थी कि दिस इज व्हाट आई हैव टू डू, दिस इज हाउ मच आई कुड डू. सो ये जो एक्स्ट्रा मैंने किया है, मैं किसी और को ये चीज बेच सकती हूँ एंड आई कैन गेट मनी आउट ऑफ इट. अगर कल जाके किसी और कंपनी ने इतनी ज्यादा अपनी EPR कंप्लायंस नहीं कर पाई है, सो दे कैन सॉर्ट ऑफ परचेज दिस फ्रॉम अस, गिव अस सम मनी, एंड सो दिस इज ट्रेडेबल इन नेचर. दैट मीन्स इफ आई एम डूइंग more than required, I am making money also. So that is an incentive for me, right? Baki framed targets, they are talking about different batteries: lead, acid, lithium, iron, nickel, cadmium, and zinc based. So lead, lithium, nickel, zinc. Lead, lithium, nickel, zinc. ये 4 के बारे में बात हो रही है. Apart from that, they have also, I mean, they should write it on the label कि कौन सा वाला heavy metal इन्होंने यूज किया है, एंड फिर एक डस्टबिन सा बना के उसके ऊपर उनको एक क्रॉस सा बना देना है जिसमें इन्होंने बोला है कि you can't just like throw it in the bin. There is a proper way to manage the waste. Fine. And labeling requirements do not address issues with lithium ion batteries. So that is a problem. बाकी अगर हम बात करें लिथियम आयन बैटरीज को अलग से हम क्यों बोल रहे हैं, उनका बहुत ही बड़ा कार्बन फुटप्रिंट है. ग्लोबल सप्लाई चेन से ये बन के आता है, राइट? साउथ अमेरिका एंड ऑस्ट्रेलिया में से लिथियम, कॉन्गो फॉर कोबाल्ट एंड इंडोनेशिया फॉर निकल. So that is what is there about your do I need to read the passage in current affairs? Yes, most definitely. Anmol, what you can do is first you can attempt the questions. In case, because I was talking about that sample paper or about the soup throwing incident, and most of the kids did not know the name of the painting. And the best part for those who've read it and worst for those who just didn't read the passage, answer उसी में लिखा था. तो पहले questions कर लेना. Questions करने के बाद फिर से जाके देखना पैसेज में, अगर कोई आंसर लिखा होगा, मेरे को नहीं लगता कि such a huge goof up can be made in a sample paper. So maybe they are trying to tell you, please read the passage. But first do the questions. Some of them you will be able to do even without reading the passage. But some, in case you're not able to do it, you please read the passage. And in case you want to check whether your answer is right or wrong, again read the passage. ठीक है? So you can possibly do it this way. फिर आ गया सोलर पावर. UAE is doing very, very well with respect to harnessing solar energy. In fact, now they have also started building in phases. It is being built in phases, but this is the world's largest solar park with a planned capacity of 1 gigawatt, and it'll have, it'll host the world's largest solar tower of 260 meters height. ठीक है? And this is the Dubai's Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Solar Park. So Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Solar Park. ठीक है? ये दिमाग में रख लेना. क्या कर रहे हैं ये? जितने जितने फुटबॉल ग्राउंड्स का साइज होता है ना, उतने में they are making these, they are utilizing it to install solar panels, which is amazing, right? And they are envisioning to clean 3/4 of their energy by 2050. ठीक है? And it is not only a signatory to the Kyoto Protocol and the Paris Agreement, but it also serves as a headquarter of International Renewable Energy Agency. So that is something that you can keep in mind. ठीक है. फिर आ गया आपका Artemis mission. So Artemis mission is rather simple, right? We are going to let's understand it. So these are 2-3 articles together. ठीक है. अब इसमें क्या है कि सबसे पहली बात तो हम लोग प्राइम ऑब्जेक्टिव की अगर हम बात करें तो हम मून पे जाना चाह रहे हैं. मून पे हम क्यों जाना चाह रहे हैं? बिकॉज द मेन पर्पस इज टू टेस्ट द स्पेस लॉन्च सिस्टम रॉकेट, विच इज सपोज टू बी द मोस्ट पावरफुल रॉकेट that NASA has made till date. Okay, the second thing is also they are planning to put the first woman and first person of color on the moon with Artemis program. These are the 2 things that they wish to do. Ab kya hai, they had a few hiccups in the beginning. What happened? The launch attempt had to be rescheduled because of many reasons. Prime amongst those reasons was the tropical storm Nicole that barreled towards the east coast of Florida. तो अगर कोई क्वेश्चन ऐसे आ गया स्पेस के ऊपर, अगर कोई पैसेज आ गया, अगर क्या स्पेस के ऊपर आएगा ही आएगा, वो स्काई रूट एरोस्पेस हो गया, वो NSIL हो गया, वो इन स्पेस हो गया, ठीक है, बहुत सारी चीजें पूछी जा सकती है. उत्तराखंड का स्पेस ऑब्जर्वेटरी आ गया, मिरर टेलीस्कोप के बारे में तो ऑलरेडी दे हैव आस्क्ड यू इन द सैंपल पेपर. तो इधर अगर हम लोग क्वेश्चन देखें तो आर्टेमिस मिशन क्यों हुआ? क्योंकि दे वांटेड टू टेस्ट द स्पेस लॉन्च सिस्टम एंड दे आल्सो वांट टू डू इंक्लूसिव डेवलपमेंट. वी कैन से दैट बिकॉज पर्सन ऑफ कलर एंड वुमेन, दे आर ट्राइंग टू ब्रिंग अबाउट इंक्लूसिविटी. Then the next thing is, what is the name of that storm that stopped the launch or sort of postponed the launch? So you will say Tropical Storm Nicole. ठीक है. Then इसके बाद पहले तो जब ये गए, Artemis mission के अंदर, 6 days into the mission, what happened was, what is the name of the spacecraft? Orion. It came as close as 80 miles and then it couldn't get into the orbit. Okay, that is another thing that happened. But it has entered the orbit around the moon on 25th November. 25th November learn करना है नहीं करना है, just that पहले नहीं गया था, it flew past it and then it went. अब ये वाली तो uncrewed flight है जहाँ पे dummies वगैरह है, ठीक है. The second thing that you have to know is, it will be traveling in a direction which is opposite to what the moon travels around the earth. तो opposite movement हो रही है, ठीक है. And ये क्यों कर रहे हैं? Because this orbit is highly stable and कम fuel में ये लोग काम कर पा रहे हैं. ये थोड़ा इसरो के साथ जोड़ने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. जैसे हम जुगाड़ू हैं, they are also trying to do the same thing. Good for them. कहाँ से इन लोगों ने लॉन्च किया है? Kennedy Space Center in Florida. That is very simple, right? And they have recently taken a selfie. Okay, so NASA has released a selfie that is taken by this Orion capsule, okay, and also close-up photos of the moon's crater. Fine. So the earlier mission to moon was named after the Greek god Apollo, and the current one is named after his mythical twin sister, so which is Artemis. So that is something that you can keep in mind. Baki NASA कब बना? 1958. कहाँ पे इसका हेडक्वार्टर है? वॉशिंगटन DC. कौन इसका चेयरमैन है? बिल नेल्सन. ये बहुत बार कर चुके हो. इसका फुल फॉर्म भी देख लेना. स्पेस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है, एसोसिएशन नहीं है, एजेंसी भी नहीं है, ठीक है. Then is antimicrobial resistant. Now, what has happened is, this antimicrobial resistance is considered to be a silent pandemic. Now, in the next few slides, what are we going to talk about? Of course, we are talking about how, there are these cattle and unko ye bahut zyada, issues are and there are a lot of cattle diseases and all of that. And this antimicrobial resistant is the reason why sometimes we are not able to cure that cattle. And इसमें हम बोल रहे हैं हम traditional medicines को हमें use करना चाहिए ताकि वो cattle को ज़्यादा problem ना हो and they are able to heal properly. After which we will talk about man and animal conflict. That then becomes very interesting. And then we will talk about certain species. एक तो frog की species है जो कहते थे कि extinct है पर अब कहते हैं it is back from the dead. So all that you have to know is the name and all. Okay, it's not really a big deal right now, but simple सी चीजें हैं. So antimicrobial resistance कहते हैं कि ये silent pandemic है. ठीक है, किसने बोला? वही सुनीता नारायण वाला Center for Science and Environment. They made this special report to mark the World Antimicrobial Awareness Week. Okay, and this World Antimicrobial Awareness Week, when is it celebrated? It is celebrated since we are using the term world, it is celebrated globally from November 18th to 24th to create awareness about antimicrobial resistance, right? And this year, the theme only was preventing antimicrobial resistance together. It is also a part of the One Health approach. So yeah, so what we are saying right now is we need to use traditional or herbal preparations, because वो जो भी हम लोग यूज करें मेडिसिन वगैरह, तो ये तो रेजिस्टेंट हो गए, माने उसका कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है, फायदा नहीं हो रहा है उस कैटल को. So use traditional as well as herb based medicine so as to help these cattle. Okay, and so these are also known as ethno veterinary medicines. ठीक है, EVM करके इसको बोलते हैं. बाकी human animal conflict. So did you read about the fact that there was a tigress who came into the district of वो Corbett Tiger Reserve से निकल के एक market में आ गई थी, आपने शायद social media में देखा होगा, and then that tigress was shot and it was all over, it was trending. Yes or no? सुना है इसके बारे में, पढ़ा है इसके बारे में, कहीं देखा है इसके बारे में? हाँ या ना में जवाब दो, मैं तब तक पानी पी लेती हूँ. हाँ, so we are talking about tiger and human conflict. So a tigress strode into a busy marketplace in the district of Almora. This is in November that this happened. And what happened was, people got scared, and there were people from the forest department who shot the tigress. And so some people said, yeah, you don't have to shoot a tigress. You can use a tranquilizer, and you could have saved the tigress. The first step is never to kill the tigress. So that is what they said. But you know what happened later on? The government was like, oh, we don't have so many tranquilizers. If you don't have so many tranquilizers, then another thing that comes to mind is वो compensatory fund allowances जो हम लोग रखते हैं, जो wildlife protection के लिए होता है, फिर वो पैसा कहाँ पे जाता है? So that is the first thing. This tigress strayed into the Marchulla Bazaar area in the Kalgad division of the Corbett Tiger Reserve. Now, second, this also happened in 2022. So this is case one, okay, wherein this tigress came to the market and she was shot dead. Now, the second thing, what happened was this particular tiger was considered to be a man-eater. बहुत सारे लोगों को मार दिया था. Around 6 to 9 people this particular tiger had killed. ठीक है, सो ये कौन से वाले टाइगर रिजर्व की बात हो रही है? वाल्मीकि टाइगर रिजर्व की बात हो रही है. एंड कहाँ पे है ये? बिहार, चंपारण. अच्छा, इस टाइगर का नाम भी मेंशन किया है न्यूज़पेपर्स में. उस टाइगर्स का नाम मैं देख देख के थक गई. तुमको मिलेगा तो बता देना मेरे को, मैं फिर भी देख लूंगी. ठीक है, सो कॉर्बेट टाइगर रिजर्व वाली जो टाइगर्स थी, शी वेंट इनटू द मार्केट प्लेस, शी वाज शॉट. In 2022, there was another tiger, Tiger 104, and this tiger is from the Valmiki Tiger Reserve. And apparently, he used to go and kill a lot of human beings. So, isko to bakaida, आपका National Conservation of Tiger Authority, जो कि सीधा यूनियन मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट के अंदर आता है. भूपेंद्र यादव इज द वन हु इज लुकिंग आफ्टर इट. दे गेव ऑर्डर्स, दे सेड ठीक है उसको मार दो, क्योंकि वो ह्यूमन बीइंग्स को मार रहा है. ठीक है, सो ब्लेम फॉर किलिंग एटलीस्ट 6 ह्यूमन बीइंग्स इन अ मंथ. Fine. So was shot dead in the sugarcane field on the orders of the chief wildlife warden in Bihar. Now, Shafat Ali Khan is something that you can keep in mind, because we are also going to talk about another very controversial killing, and that killing was Tiger Avni. So Shafat Ali Khan is a sharpshooter. Genuinely, he has a license to kill Indian tigers. So ऐसे लोग होते हैं. Some random person can't go and kill a tiger, right? It is they decide कब मारना है, and अभी देखते हैं कि कौन से वाले केसेस में मार सकते हैं टाइगर्स को, and B कौन मारेगा ये टाइगर्स को, वो भी डिसाइडेड होता है. So ये शफत अली खान is a sharpshooter. Controversial hunter, we'll talk about why it is controversial with respect to Tiger Avni, right? And he was the one who came and he killed this T104. Okay, now 4 years ago, 2018 में एक और चीज हुई थी. There was a Tiger Avni or T1 adult tigress and 2 10-month-old cubs. Okay, and Maharashtra की बात हम कर रहे हैं, near the Borati village in Yavatmal. So she was branded as a man-eater, and she was accused of killing 13 people, human beings. And then the Supreme Court ordered कि animal को tranquilize करो, लेकिन tranquilize अगर नहीं कर सकते, if everything else fails, then you kill. the particular tigress. So apparently पहली बात तो ये शफत अली खान को बोला था, you will go and kill this tigress, but his son ended up killing the tigress. Okay, Asghar Ali was the one who killed the tigress. That was the first thing. Second, the point was you first tranquilize the tigress. If in case you fail, that is when you kill the tigress. So apparently this Asghar Ali says that I shot one bullet and this tigress, she came to attack me, and in one shot I killed her. Okay, and so that is what is the controversy, that did that actually happen? Because obviously, no one witnessed it, and if in case they did, then nobody spoke about it. And we have to stop the human animal conflict. We can't possibly start killing all these animals and then later on be like, acha theek hai, abhi khatam ho gaya, chalo theek hai, import kar lete hain. So that cannot really happen. Now, what does the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 say? It says कि NTCA जो National Tiger Conservation Authority है, जो यूनियन मिनिस्ट्री के अंदर, यूनियन एनवायरमेंट मिनिस्ट्री के अंदर डायरेक्टली आ जाती है, ये बनाएंगे SOP, स्टैंडर्ड ऑपरेटिंग प्रोसीजर्स, कि कौन से टाइगर्स और कौन से लेपर्ड्स को हमने मैन ईटर्स बोलना है, wherein they are differentiating between two things. One is man killing and the second is man eating. Okay, now proper differentiation between man killing and man eating, wherein man killing is accidental, whereas the latter is intentional. तो वही mens rea actus reus वाली बात इन्होंने कर दी. अब इसमें क्या है, कहते कभी कभार ना accidentally मर जाता है human being, तो उस केस में you can't go and kill the leopard or you can't go and kill the tiger. For example, I don't remember, I mean I clearly remember the video, but I don't remember where it happened. Do you guys remember? There was this one guy who jumped into like this cage जहाँ पे टाइगर था, एंड लोग मतलब पता नहीं उसने, he was mentally not okay, और उसने अल्कोहल पिया हुआ था, and that उसको पकड़ के उसको मार दिया. So I mean that is not really the tiger's fault, right? You don't really jump into something like that and then you expect to be not dead. Fine. Delhi. Okay, Vineet. So in this particular case, they said any accidental killing, we are not going to kill the tiger. Fine. So if you're like bending, the animal might think that you are also an animal, right? Then they say if a tiger doesn't eat the human, only kills him, it is regarded as accidental killing. कि वो खाने के लिए उसने नहीं मारा, सेल्फ डिफेंस में उसने मारा. ठीक है, वो पूरा का पूरा IPC आई एम श्योर आपके दिमाग में आ रहा है, आना भी चाहिए यार. ठीक है. फिर है इफ अ टाइगर, if it is seeking out, वो पूरा प्लान बना रहा है, वही हो गया आपका इंटेंशन, प्रिपरेशन, अटेम्प्ट, कमीशन, कि it is seeking out, it is stalking, it is waiting for its prey, and then after killing the dead person, he is also eating the dead person. That is when it becomes a man eater. That is when you will kill that tiger. Fine. So it dictates only experienced and senior forest officers should do it. ऐसी random किसी शिकारी को नहीं ये देना चाहिए. ठीक है. Because of these reasons वो T104 and ये यहाँ पे T1 also अवनी. अब दिमाग में टाइग्रस कॉलर वाली करके भी आ रहा होगा आप लोगों का. Yes or no? So she produced like so many cubs and she passed away very recently. कॉलर वाली टाइग्रस करके. Yes or no? So International Tiger Day is 29th July and theme is India launches Project Tiger to revive the tiger population. Project Tiger is 1973. IUCN status is endangered. So this is something that you can keep in mind. Fine. Now the next thing is Falcon Capital of the World. किसको बोलते हैं? नागालैंड को बोलते हैं. ठीक है. It's a kind of a bird, of course. A recent bird drive was happening in the Tokhu Emong bird count. Okay, so Tokhu Emong post harvest festival होता है, जो लोथा नागास का फेस्टिवल होता है, जहां पे 178 bird species were found in Nagaland. Okay, also known as the Falcon Capital of the world. That is all that you have to keep in mind, nothing else. 178 bird species. अगर पूछ लिया कि Tokhu Emong bird count या Tokhu Emong post harvest festival कौन से state में होता है, तो Nagaland. Which state is known as the Falcon capital of the world? So Nagaland. How many species? 178 bird species. Then is back from the dead. I'm not going to read all of this, but apparently this particular frog, Harlequin frog, was considered to be extinct और अभी वो वापस आ गया. तो ये वाला आर्टिकल था back from the dead. So कोई ऐसे क्वेश्चन आ गया, which is the frog species which was considered to be extinct but is now found. ये कोस्टारिका वगैरह में इसके species मिलते हैं. So Harlequin is the one that was considered to be, it's a frog, it was considered to be extinct and now it is apparently back from the dead. Okay. then is ban the use of acylflinac. Okay, now it's an anti-inflammatory drug. We are talking about vultures here. Now vulture is also very very important क्योंकि हमारे देश में हमने vulture action plan बनाया है 2020 to 2025. दूसरी बात, हम लोगों ने तमिलनाडु में कुछ कुछ चीजें की हैं, so we'll talk about that in a bit. Let's first talk about this. Now, the Indian Veterinary Research Institute has demanded the ban on acylflinac, which is an anti-inflammatory drug. क्यों इन्होंने ये बैन करने की बात की है? क्योंकि they say कि ये टॉक्सिक हो जाता है vultures के लिए. So वो क्या होता है कि जैसी एक कैटल या फिर एक वाटर बफेलो ये acylflinac खाता है, एंटी-इन्फ्लेमेटरी ड्रग अगर हम इनको देते हैं, तो वो ड्रग मेटाबोलाइज करके डाइक्लोफिनैक बन जाता है. और डाइक्लोफिनैक जो है वो इस बॉडी के अंदर जब आ जाता है, देन व्हेन द कैटल विल डाई एंड द वल्चर विल फीड ऑन दैट कैटल, देन इट बिकम्स वेरी वेरी पॉइजनस फॉर द वल्चर एंड द वल्चर विल एंड अप डिक्लाइनिंग. एंड वैसे भी क्रिटिकली एंडेंजर्ड स्पीशी हो चुका है IUCN के अंदर, स्पेशली द स्पीशीज दैट आर फाउंड इन इंडिया. And by the way, diclofenac has already been banned for veterinary use by the government of India in 2006. So they're like, this is very unnecessary that you're doing. There are so many other anti-inflammatory drugs. You start utilizing that. Don't use this क्योंकि ये metabolize करके वही diclofenac बन रहा है and vulture की population कम हो जाएगी. So that is what there is to this. Baki Vulture Action Plan 2020 to 2025 also mentions the drug as toxic. Okay, asking the Drug Controller General of India to ban its veterinary use. Baki vultures की अगर हम बात करें, then the first Saturday of September of every year is celebrated as a day which is dedicated to vultures and the conservation of vultures. It happened on the 3rd of September in this particular year. Otherwise, first Saturday of every September. बाकी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ तमिलनाडु ने क्या किया है, एक स्टेट लेवल कमिटी फॉर वल्चर कंजर्वेशन बना दी है, ठीक है, टू put together an action plan for vulture conservation. Fine, as many as 7 out of the 9 species of raptors found in India are critically endangered or near threatened. ठीक है, so which is really really bad. And in fact, look at this, from 2003 to 2015 कुछ 40,000 हमारे पास species थी, अब 18,645 रह गई हैं. In 2015, Tamil Nadu became the first state to ban the veterinary use of ketoprofen in Nilgiri, Erode, and Coimbatore districts, which is also something, I mean, similar to what we spoke about. अभी diclofenac वगैरह, ये सारे drugs toxic हो जाते हैं vultures के लिए. बाकी what do we have, ये तमिलनाडु की अगर हम बात करें तो ओरिएंटल वाइट बैक्ड vulture, long billed vulture, red headed vulture in Tamil Nadu are critically endangered, and Egyptian vulture is supposed to be in the endangered category. बाकी vultures की बात करें, अगर protected area बना भी लेते हैं तो वो दूर 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 घूमते रहते हैं. I mean, that is not something that I'm saying, that is something that was written in the article, so I'm just like reiterating that. बाकी जैसे प्रोजेक्ट टाइगर हम लोगों ने शुरू किया था, ऐसी प्रोजेक्ट वल्चर भी हमने शुरू किया था in the year 2006. So we know about acylflinac and diclofenac, and we know about Tamil Nadu. We know that first week of September of every year is dedicated to the conservation of vultures. We know that we started our project Vulture back in 2006, and most of the species that we have are critically endangered or in the endangered category, is why we need to work towards that. अब इसके बाद आ जाता है आपका वाइल्ड लाइफ population declines by 69% in 50 years. What is this report that we are talking about? Living Planet report of 2022. ठीक है, अब इसमें हमने क्या बोल दिया कि 69% डिक्लाइन हो रहा है हमारी वाइल्ड लाइफ की पॉपुलेशन का. Who has made this report? The World Wide Fund for Nature, WWF, right? So WWF or World Wide Fund for Nature has made this report called Living Planet report. 69% in the past 50 years, 69% of our wildlife has decreased. Highest decline learn कर लेना, Latin America, Caribbean. ठीक है, अफ्रीका में 66% फॉल हुआ, ठीक है, और आपको करने की जरूरत, चलो हाईएस्ट पक्का कर लेना. फाइन. They have identified 6 threats to biodiversity. There's agriculture, hunting, logging, pollution, invasive species, and climate change. Look at the 6 categories. इसमें से majority are because of human beings, right? So that is that. WWF International की अगर डायरेक्टर जनरल की बात करें तो मार्को लैम्बर्टिनी, then made in 1961, headquarter is Switzerland. ठीक है, बस इसके अलावा भी इन्होंने ये भी बोला है मैंग्रोव्स विल आल्सो बी लॉस्ट टू एक्वाकल्चर एंड एग्रीकल्चर एंड कोस्टल डेवलपमेंट. तो ये मैंग्रोव्स की कंजर्वेशन इज आल्सो वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इसमें तो कुछ लिखने की जरूरत नहीं. दिस इज वेरी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. जैसे हम ऑड और इवन में डिफरेंशिएट कर सकते हैं, इसी तरीके से हनी बीज भी कर सकती हैं. ठीक है. एंड सो साइंटिस्ट आर ट्राइंग टू फाइंड आउट कि ये जो हमें मैथमेटिक्स आता है ये हमारा ह्यूमन इंटेलेक्ट है कि ये दिस इज समथिंग दैट वी नीड टू नो लाइक एज अ स्पीशी इन this world. So scientists have said honeybees join humans as the only known animals that can tell the difference between odd and even numbers. ठीक है. Yes, Aryan. ठीक है. All right. फिर आ गया 60 years after they were last seen, tigers to come back to Madhya Pradesh's Madhav National Park. So Madhav National Park हमने कल भी किया था. Do we remember माधव नेशनल पार्क के बारे में बात की थी, एक विलेज के बारे में बात की थी. Please go and revise that, okay? So we are basically, we don't have tigers in the Madhav national parks. We do have other species. So we are trying to bring them back to the Madhav National Park. 3 tigers, 1 male and 2 females will be moved to the Madhav National Park in the winters, right? National Tiger Conservation Authority has given a green signal for the same. They will be bringing tigers from Patna, Bandhavgarh and Satpura national parks to the Madhav National Park of Shivpuri, right? And 3 tigers के बारे में हमने बात कर ली. इनके पास already leopards हैं, लेकिन tigers इनके खत्म हो गए थे. There are no tigers in MNP since the late 1960s. There were some isolated sightings, but those tigers used to wander from the Ranthambore Park. It is not from the Madhav National Park. So Madhav National Park में कितने tigers लेकर आ रहे हैं? 3. 1 male, 2 females, right? And where are we getting them from? Satpura, Bandhavgarh and Patna tiger reserves, so national parks. And since 1960s we found no tigers over here. Yes, Ansh, that's right. Okay, so that is that from my side. We have spoken about animal and human being का conflict. मैंने हाँ, सो एनिमल एंड ह्यूमन बीइंग के कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के बारे में बात हो गई. हमारा कन्वेंशन ऑन ट्रेड ऑफ एंडेंजर्ड स्पीशीज के बारे में हमने बात कर ली. COP19 हमें पता चल गया पनामा के बारे में. देन वी नो हनी बीज के बारे में. एंड देन वी नो देयर इज दिस स्पीशी ऑफ फ्रॉग दैट हैज कम बैक फ्रॉम द डेड. सो डू योर रिविजन. थैंक यू वेरी मच. आई विल सी यू सून. कीप स्टडिंग हार्ड एंड डू वेरी वेरी वेल इन योर एग्जाम. ऑल द बेस्ट. Hanji Vineet, yesterday we were really busy. Everybody was in the office because of the session that was happening. Right after this class, I will tell sir and he shall do the needful. Is that okay? From which month CA is more important? So you see, you give more importance from July till November. June till November को बहुत ज़्यादा importance दो, पर मैं ये नहीं कहूँगी कि December till April, May को कुछ भी मत देखो. Please look at that too, but give a lot more importance to these very, very recent months. Is that okay? But we have to understand, looking at the sample paper, it is not just the current. They are asking you questions about whatever is in the current. They are asking you questions from the static. That is important. For example, if there is a pest attack that happens in 2022, they asked you a question on the lothal I'm saying locust attack. ठीक है, lothal तो वो heritage वाला हो गया. Okay, thank you very much. See you. All the best. Bye.